Hello, everybody. This is John Inbody, the writer, director, producer, creator of Gray Matter, an acid horror anthology podcast. You might notice I am not in character, either as the clerk or Detective Latimer or anybody. I didn't want to do anything out of character for this show on this feed originally at all, but the response to launch week has been so overwhelming that I felt like I had to hop in here and just say thank you guys so much. I cannot tell you how much it means to me to have so many people reach out to me and say that they're really enjoying the show, that they think it's really high quality. Like it means the world to me. And so do all the 5-star ratings. Please keep that shit up. That's incredible. I cannot tell you how happy all of that makes me. Aside from thank yous, I wanted to give some programming notes going forward. So obviously on launch week, we had the 3 episodes release. There will be another episode in a couple of weeks. We're going to go to a monthly release schedule after this. So it will be more of like a seasonal kind of, I want this to be a horror anthology for all seasons. So I think a nice way to do themed episodes is going to be once a month an episode releases. So that is what we're going to be going with. That was announced in the series trailer, but if you didn't listen to the series trailer, I figured I would just say it here. Just be ready for some weird holiday themed stuff, I guess, coming up. And just kind of speaking of all of this, you guys have no idea how incredible it has been. The response to this show has been so much better than I could have possibly ever imagined, and it means the absolute world to me. So again, thank you guys so much for everything. This is beyond what I could have possibly expected. And allow me to assure you, we are just getting started. There is some more incredibly bizarre bullshit coming your way. I guess batten down the hatches and get ready for that. But either way, okay, so also, if you guys have been to the our Podpage website, the link for that is going to be in the description of this announcement. But if you haven't been there, please do check it out. It's super cool. You've got the full high-res art for all the episodes hosted there. We're going to have a lot more stuff hosted there. I'm not really done making the website yet. I thought I was going to have a little more time to finish before the launch week, but obviously everything kind of sneaks up on you. Also over there, I have the first entry in what's going to be a series of blog entries. The first entry is called What is Acid Horror? So basically, acid horror as a subgenre is kind of a term that I created. So if you look at that What is Acid Horror, it kind of lays out the general vibe that I'm kind of going for with this show overall. Some episodes will be more acid horror, some will be different subgenres of horror. But either way, I'm going to be doing a series of blog posts, kind of retrospectives on stuff that I consider, works that I think would fall under the banner of acid horror. So even when there are not episodes, immediately coming out, when you're between episodes, when there's that really long month-long wait, there will consistently be content that I am putting out. That series is going to be called Acid Horror History. The first entry of that is going to be on David Cronenberg's The Fly, and giving you a little bit of the history behind the Melting Man subtype of stories, which is actually a weirdly specific, popular type of horror story. It's a whole thing. I can't wait to show you guys that. I don't know when that blog post will be up. More will be going forward. That's going to be a great little academic place for me to just nerd the hell out about weird melty horror. So anyway, either way, that is that. But I also just wanted to end this little announcement with a special little surprise. So years ago, I don't even know how long ago, I can probably check, 6 years ago, I posted a story to r/nosleep on Reddit called Dying Feels Like Slowly Sinking. And that story was essentially one of the first things that I ever wrote that anyone gave a shit about. So, also sorry if you hear stuff in the background here, just as a side note, because I'm not going to do nearly the amount of audio processing on this that I do on regular episodes. So apologies. And if you don't hear it, then that's good. That means the microphones are good. And the processing, the slight processing I did is good. But either way, so I did a story called Dying Feels Like Slowly Sinking that was released on nosleep 6 years ago. People really liked it. It really spurred me into putting out my work into short stories. Previously, before that, I had just done like little short films and not that kind of stuff. Prose was not my strength at all. So that really made me kind of go into short story publishing stuff at all. So anyway, in honor of this project, I'm going to do a quick and dirty dramatic reading of that story. I'm not going to edit it. I'm probably going to stumble over my words some, but just, I hope you enjoy it. If you do, it's the first of a series that was posted on No Sleep. There's 5 entries. Yeah, 5. So if you get a chance to search that on Reddit, if you're interested in the entries beyond this first one that I'm reading, I think the series has diminishing returns as it goes, but this first one's a real banger. So I'm going to read it with minimal grammatical updates. Obviously, this is a story I wrote 6 years ago. Don't judge the awkwardness of some of the prose too harshly. But anyway, Dying Feels Like Slowly Sinking by Jonathan Imbody. My mother died the day before her 68th birthday. She had made her living as a teacher, which made her dementia even more heartbreaking. My sister Kelsey lived with her the last year of her life, during which she forgot our names, sleepwalked into the woods in the middle of the night, and dug through drawers looking for things she had sold at a garage sale years ago. The strangest thing about her dementia, though, was when she talked about the ocean. She had always lived in western New York. The closest body of water was Lake Erie. My father being confined to a wheelchair made traveling difficult, and since he had died, she hadn't gone anywhere on her own. I remember one day I was fixing the sump pump for them. It was dirty, disgusting work, and after working on it for a few hours, I came into the house to wash up. I walked into the bathroom to find my mother, sitting in the bathtub with her nightgown on. The shower was running, and her nightgown was soaked through. She turned to look at me as I walked into the room. "Patrick, I saw your father in the ocean last night." I reached over and turned off the shower, then helped her to her feet and started to dry her off. She just stared at me, like she didn't understand what I was doing or why I was doing it. "He says dying feels like slowly sinking." I tried to ignore her. It wasn't her fault that she wasn't making any sense, and there was no reason to take out my frustration on her. She was probably frustrated too. I can't imagine being confused like that all the time. I changed my mother into dry clothes and put her in bed, where she fell asleep pretty quickly. After I showered, I went out to the kitchen where my sister was making soup. When I told her about what Mom had said, she reacted like I hadn't said anything at all. "She's been saying stuff like that all the time, Patrick. I don't think... The doctor says she probably won't make it another year. Her mind is gone. She keeps talking about Dad and some ocean. Can't make any sense out of it." "Do you think it's... did her and Dad take a trip somewhere? Is she remembering their honeymoon or something?" "They went to the Adirondacks for their honeymoon." Her voice wavered as she got close to crying. I went over and held her for a minute or two until she calmed down. She cleared her throat and spoke again. "Eric calls it genetic memory. He says she's remembering back when we lived underwater." Yeah, well, he fucking would say that, wouldn't he? We both chuckled a little. Eric had spent most of his time stoned out of his mind ever since Dad died. "Would it help if I maybe got her some books about the ocean? Or documentaries or something?" Kelsey shook her head. "She's not talking about a real ocean." From behind us, my mother responded. Kelsey and I jumped, surprised that my mother had come into the room. "You two don't understand," she said with alarming clarity. "But someday you will. You'll see it too. The black water stretching out into eternity. There's fog that sits on the surface so you can't find your way home. You'll wake up there one day, just treading water, until finally you can't do it anymore, and you'll let that black water just swallow you up. I heard that drowning is peaceful, but this isn't that. Every night I sink into that black water, and I never saw the bottom until last night. Your father's there, and his father and his father. I think everyone's there." The soup boiled over, and my sister quickly moved it off the burner, finally breaking our focus. I went over to my mother to help her into a chair. When I got close, she whispered right into my ear, "You'll be there someday too, and I'll be there, and Kelsey and Eric. Eric's seen it, you know. The flesh coral." I went to the bathroom to keep from crying or freaking out. Kelsey knows I've dealt with panic attacks before, so within a minute or two, she knocked on the door. "Are you okay?" she asked through the door. "I'll be fine. Just feed Mom lunch and I'll be out in a little bit." There were a few seconds of concerned silence. Then she finally said okay and walked back into the kitchen. I held my hands together to try and keep them from shaking as I started to cry. The one time my mother was speaking in complete sentences and she started talking like H.P. fucking Lovecraft, What was that shit about Eric? Did he show her some movie or something that made her think this stuff? It was only a few weeks later that my mother died. My mother had been well loved at her school, so we got to hear a lot of stories from her students and the children of her students at the wake. It was really beautiful and cathartic, and I saw Kelsey smile for the first time in months. Eric was there, and those stupid fucking Doc Martens he wore everywhere. I thought it was weird that he didn't have Jess with him, but I figured maybe she couldn't justify to her boss skipping work for her mother-in-law's funeral. Later on in the night, towards the end of the wake, I saw Eric duck out for a smoke, and I politely excused myself for some fresh air. He was lighting up when I got outside. He looked up at me over the faintly glowing end of his hand-rolled cigarette. "Please tell me that's tobacco," I said. "No, Pat, I'm getting high at my mother's wake." I was trying to lighten the mood." "Yeah, well, great job." "Can you just, I'm trying to have a fucking moment here. I need to talk to you about Mom." He didn't say anything. About the ocean?" His eyes flickered with recognition. "What about it?" he said, pretending he didn't know what I was talking about. "The black water." He looked around, checking to see if anyone else was around. "Go inside, Patrick." "Why?" "Because you're going to think I've got fucking dementia, asshole." "Please, Eric, I just want to know what she meant. What was she talking about?" He took a long drag on his cigarette, and I could hear his breath waver. He stopped, took a second, and started again. "Jess left. A couple weeks back. 'Cause of this. So just, if you want to hear this, just don't look at me like I'm fucking crazy, and don't stop talking to me because I can't fucking take that right now." I was taken aback, but I tried not to let it show. "Eric, I'm not going to freak out. I just want to know." He took another drag. "No, you fucking don't." "Eric, I've been having this dream," he said, his voice shaking. "Used to be once or twice a month. Now it's almost every night. I'm up to my neck in water, and I don't know how I got there. I try and float and swim and stay above the surface, but I can't do it forever, so eventually I get too tired to swim, and I start sinking. And the water is so dark, I can't see anything. And I just sink for God knows how long until I finally start to see light. There's this blue glow from underneath me, and I look down and there's no floor." I furrowed my brow. "What do you mean, no floor?" He dropped his cigarette on the ground and stamped it out. "Like no ocean floor, no land at the bottom. There's just this, it's like all these bodies, but they're not like, they're all stuck together, but not stuck really. They're just together like they grew that way or something. There's all these little holes in them, like in coral, and there's these little things that swim in and out of the holes like they live in them. And I just keep sinking closer and closer to the bottom, which is all this coral shit as far as I can see. And as I sink, I start hearing voices in all sorts of languages. They're so kind and welcoming and telling me it's beautiful where I am, and he put his hand over his mouth. "Eric." I tried not to let him hear my voice shake. Did you tell Mom about that, or did Mom tell you?" You're not listening. When I'm in that water, and I'm sinking towards that coral, and I can hear voices, when I get closer, they start talking to me. By name. And they start saying I belong there, and that they love me, and that I'll be happy when I'm there with them, and all I have to do is stop fighting, and I can be with them. And it's fucked up, but I want to believe them. I want to just drift down and become part of them. And it feels so good to just give up. It feels like coming home, but I can always hear Dad's voice, quietly behind all the others. And he's just screaming the same thing over and over. I tried to steady myself. "What's he saying, Eric?" "They're lying." All right, so that was Dying Feels Like Slowly Sinking. Hopefully it gave you a little fright. Hopefully that's a nice little bonus for you. Thank you guys again so much for all of the support you're giving the show. It really does mean the world to me. I cannot possibly express how much. But we actually have one more thing to do on this little announcement thing. And that is we are doing what's called a trailer swap with a podcast called Tartarus. So what that means is I'm about to play the trailer for that show, and they're going to play our trailer on an announcement for their show. So Tartarus is a show, I've just been listening to it actually, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm about 3 episodes in, and it's got some SCP kind of energy. It's got some like 2001: A Space Odyssey and some kind of The Thing vibe. So if you like that kind of stuff, or if you like our show, you will certainly like Tartarus. Here is their description. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, the skeleton crew at a secret research facility reckon with the strange and lethal creatures they keep imprisoned. Tartarus is a sci-fi horror audio drama releasing 4 episodes a year. 8 episodes are currently available to listen online. And without any further ado, here is the trailer for Tartarus.
Nearly set up. Have the servers calibrated.
Do you even have a plan?
I'm working on one.
Sure you're okay alone?
Kidding me? 100, hell, 200 creatures loose. I'm fine.
CAD-0588 appears to be a living viscous liquid. The creature is immune to every form of non-invasive scanning we have. As time goes on, I find myself more and more at a loss.
I know learning about the creatures tends to leave people needing coping mechanisms.
You wouldn't be the first science officer to go rogue.
Did you kill someone?
Think of it as a survival exercise. Scenario: a colleague is being influenced by a creature.
Response: shoot on sight. Get down!
I thought I was meant to be a science officer. I have ideas.
It's not the right time. There's no point ending up in a cell for the rest of your life.
I won't let you die. The headset isn't just a screen.
It interfaces with your brain.
Oh god, one of those, you die in the game, you die in real life.
The flesh the covering is made of isn't dead, and if it's touching CAD-536 too long, it will reconnect. So always keep on the move.
All right, that was the trailer for Tartarus. If you want to follow their show, there should be a link in the description of this podcast. It'll be up on our website as well. Please check them out. Like I said, I've been listening to them. I'm really enjoying it so far. I expect to continue to enjoy it. Some really intriguing mysteries. I'm excited to see where it goes. I will see you in another couple of weeks for our November episode, and then after that, we will be off to the races once a month, getting weird. Let's do it. Thank you guys so much again for listening. Keep rating, keep reviewing, share the show with your friends. Tell everybody you know that's a horror fan about it. Please, for the love of God. And get ready, because we've got some crazy shit coming, and you're not going to want to miss it.